man, although we don't agree with him. And drawn recent books by Lauren Berland, Jose Esteban Munoz, who tragically died last year, and Judith Halberstam. While going back through Munoz to the philosophical work of Ernst Bloch and Hannah Arendt, although, as Eva has said, we start with Jürgen Habermas here, but still, I think for the theory of action and praxis of action, Hannah Arendt is so important. We were thinking about demonstrating to you some visibility campaigns, which in our view are avenues within which political change can happen as they have a transformative power and ideas, images, Denkbilder, Benjaminian ones perhaps. Visibility campaigns could be interpreted, as I mentioned, in the terms of Hannah Arendt's philosophy of the public realm and of action. Neo-Arendtian action. Philosopher Richard J. Bernstein, demonstrates how Arendt's notion of action parallels the artistic phenomenon of action painting. Likewise, we attempt to account action in visual culture and consider these campaigns as art in a public sphere. In an Arendtian way, visibility campaigns endeavor action as when Hannah Arendt was developing Augustine, Saint Augustine, Aurelius Augustine, a new beginning, and as when she was diagnosing the American Revolution, Constitutio Libertatis. Herein, in our view, lies hope for democracies in crisis, or lack of democracies. Arendt prioritizes promises action that depends on plurality, on the presence and acting of others. Arendtian action brings a new existential beginning and entails political agency. As Margaret Canavan comments for Arendt, human beings are creatures who act in the sense of starting things and setting off trains of events. Julia Kristeva goes further to arrive at an interpretation of Arendt's concept of human life as a political action. Sheila Ben-Habib emphasizes the radical discovery of the link between action, narration, and interpretation in the philosophy of Hannah Arendt. Hers is then a narrative, interpretative, and existential concept of action. Life itself is action, or to paraphrase Socrates, life worth living is activist life. Action constitutes a transforming interaction that produces social change. Hannah Arendt dubs action the one miracle, and this is a direct quotation from her, of the human condition, the one miracle working faculty of man, as Jesus of Nazareth, whose insights into this faculty can be compared in their originality and unprecedentedness with Socrates' insights into the possibilities of thought. Action evokes hope, this is our comment. For Arendt, action combines with her notion of natality and plurality. As to the latter, Arendt herself writes that action, the only activity that goes on directly between men without the intermediary of things, of matter, corresponds to the human condition of plurality. Natality implies that everybody is a unique newcomer to the earth, and hence, as Kristeva comments, a political action that would be the equivalent of a birth and would offer shelter for our strangeness. In our opinion, action would offer shelter for queerness. More, action would throw a bomb of queerness. In action, Arendt includes speech, theater, and politics. We regard images as action. Visibility campaigns, which are riots.
Have you finished?
Yes.
Well, as Tomek already mentioned, in the second part we are going to talk about something that fascinates us for a very long time and is a bone of contention among many queer theorists and also LGBTQ activists, we will talk about visibility campaigns and shortly. And by visibility campaigns, we understand public images produced by a variety of queer organizations and displayed to foster in a public space lesbian and gay rights. And visibility campaigns that have been organized in collaboration quite often between LGBTQ organizations and between artists or designers, and then presented as posters, light boxes, videos in the public space of the city or in the public space of a variety of public governmental educational institutions. So basically we would like to elaborate a little bit about the propaganda images to some extent, if I can use this awkward term, for queer rights. And again, we would like to take a comparative perspective and not to talk only about Poland, because we do believe that the visibility campaigns, they have social political aspect, they are community-based, quite often organized by a particular LGBTQ organization. They are performative, so they base on performance of couples who decide to participate in these campaigns. And they create a vision which is always utopic, which is always idealized, of queer relationship, of gay and lesbian relationship, of empowerment, of celebration, of flourishing of gay and lesbian subjectivity in the public life. So they are to some extent indeed utopic images. That is why the concept of cruising utopia, the then and there of queer futurity, which is a title of Munoz's last book and his last theory of queer utopia and futurity, is very much an inspiration for our understanding of this visibility campaign, which on the one hand, as we will see, presents some utopic vision of relationships, gay and lesbian, but on the other hand, it presents also the better and the just future of futurity, as we are fascinated by this term, of queer futurity. But before I show you the campaigns, I would like to start with one image. Everyone in Central Eastern Europe is very familiar with this image because it is universal, which means that it's very strong and unfortunately is quite good, so it's also effective from the communicative point of view. So, and basically all the visual campaigns that have been organized, especially in Central Eastern Europe, they are working symbolically or visually against this image or this type of images. This sign, which on the one hand, which basically imitates traffic signs, it is an image that was created, I don't know by whom, I've read, but I'm not sure, that probably it was created not in Poland, unfortunately, we are not responsible for it, unfortunately, but somewhere in the Baltic countries, by far-right militias, far-right groups, radical groups that oppose gay and lesbian rights. And this image, which shows a prohibition of gay anal sex, became a very powerful sign that has been used, especially for the first 10 years of the 21st century, at many oppositional rallies by the counter-public of the far-right militia to oppose demonstration for queer rights. And we know that this is a gay image because we have this suggestion of a penis here. Also, I would like to emphasize the position of the couple that is represented here in this signage, which is very much similar to the position of the straight fornication that was performed and experienced by the Vajna group, with which we started this class. And I decided to start with this image. I don't know if it is still used by far-right demonstrators across Central Eastern Europe, but it was definitely 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I've noticed it in many far-right demonstrations against queer rights in the Baltic countries, in Poland, in Slovakia, then in Hungary as well. So this simple image became very, I think, to some extent, effective for the far-right counter-public to oppose queer rights. And now I'm going to show you some of the images that were constructed in a public space in collaboration with artists or designers to oppose this type of visual imagination that sees the whole plethora of queerness, something that we call LGBTQ, and use a complicated theorem, but in the homophobic counter-public mind, sometimes, and quite often, it comes up to this very image of anal penetration between two men that they are against. So let me give you a very short overview of some European gay and lesbian campaign for queer rights. So first of all, this is important to remember that Europe is very diverse when it comes to gay and lesbian rights. We have some countries where there are same-sex marriages or same-sex partnership laws. We have some countries where are very advanced transgender laws that enable transgender people a very smooth and sort of process of transition legally. But we have also countries where there are no same-sex marriages, no same-sex partnership, no advanced transgender rights. It is all part of a changing image of sort of sexual politics in Europe, which is very diverse and which is still very unequal. Of course, we are very happy and very lucky in the European Union because we do have this general anti-discrimination clauses that include sexual orientation as well, all across Central Eastern European Union. But when it comes to the legislation of same-sex partnership, each country differs, because I presume this is something that you know very well, that they belong to so-called family laws. And family laws are independent, are based on national law. And that is why the European Union sort of legislation processes, they cannot intervene into the local national family laws. And this is the reason why in some countries same-sex partnerships are registered, in others are not. And from the traditional point of view, kind of posing Central Eastern Europe as a backwater of the European Union, people think that this is only in Central Eastern Europe, that we lack this kind of legislation. And to some extent, on the one level, it is true, because there is no recognition of same-sex partnership or marriage, nothing, in such countries as Poland, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Romania, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. But on the other hand, we have also Greece, Italy, and Cyprus, and Malta, where there is no recognition of same-sex partnership of marriage either. So even though those countries has never been communist countries, they are not post-communist, they are not in Central Eastern Europe, because of the variety of local, religious, and legal conditions, they don't have same-sex partnership, and they are, to some extent, the south of Europe. Greece, Italy, Cyprus, Malta. So there is this kind of the south and the north, the east and the west, dichotomies of queer rights in Europe. And what is even more fascinating, that countries like Bulgaria, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland define marriage as a union between a man and a woman in their constitution, which makes it even more difficult to change it and to introduce some form of same-sex partnership legislation. So in the 21st century Europe, the situation is very, very complex, which is troubling on the one hand, and on the other hand, it is fascinating. because it gives us a variety of contexts to understand the queer rights and the queer images and the queer art in the public space, even within the European Union. So that is why I want to emphasize again that context is everything. We do realize, and everyone realizes it, that this kind of drive or movement towards same-sex partnership is only one among many queer concerns, and probably it doesn't even really matter in so-called academic queer theory. Yet, as we analyze the queer politics, LGBT queer politics in Europe, in a variety of European countries, and if we look at the visual campaigns that has been organized in the last 10 years in a variety of European countries, they are preoccupied with the image and with the promotion of the rights of same-sex couple, two people, and same-sex relationships. And on the political level, concerning gay and lesbian rights in Europe, the introduction of same-sex partnership is still on the top, on the one hand, and on the other hand, a very important issue debated is also a mutual recognition. A mutual recognition which means that countries are going to recognize each other same-sex partnership, which they don't right now. They do recognize marriages, straight marriages, but when it comes to same-sex partnership, if you enter same-sex partnership in Germany, for example, it wouldn't be recognized in Poland. If you enter same-sex marriage in England, it wouldn't be recognized in Germany legally, because it all depends on the national family law context. So that is why many lawyers, we are not lawyers, but the legal discussions in the European Parliament concerning gay and lesbian rights, they are very much focused on the mutual recognition on the one hand, and on the other hand,